Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Strat Fan Forum Football Show. I really haven't done it on a regular enough basis to brand this, but I'm very excited about today's episode because we're going to do something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and that is to talk about how to modify the computer manager. I'm joined today by Ed Berro. Ed's going to walk us through some changes. So, what we're going to do is um, kind of first of all, I'm going to show you guys what I've done in the past, which is the bad way to do it. But Ed's going to show us the right way. But before we get started, Ed, why don't you tell us exactly how did you start doing these computer managers? Because you're not just modifying them for your team; you actually set the computer managers up for every stock team that Strat-O-Matic publishes with the new version of the game for the modern seasons. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Everything 1982 and later. And thank you very much for having me on the show. You do such a good job with these shows that it's really an honor and a pleasure.
I appreciate that.
So yeah, I just started when Strat-O-Matic released the computer game. I've been playing cards and dice for I guess 15 years, almost 20 years. And then when they released the computer game, I started playing against the computer, and I noticed that okay, it's a computer manager. It was kind of pretty basic, and I thought to myself, I think I can do a pretty good job of just playing with this. And I saw the interface that they had created, when they released the game, and I thought, wow, this is great. This is just so detailed, and just lets you do everything you'd want to do. It takes a long time and learning it and all of that. But then I started creating computer managers, and I decided at some point that it was a pretty good the start on what I had done. So I posted some of them for people to download, and I guess a few of them downloaded from the Strat Fan forum. And then Strat-O-Matic contacted me and asked me if I'd like to be a beta tester, in addition to providing computer managers that they'll be releasing with future versions of the game. So that's kind of how I got my foot in the door, and so I've been a beta tester ever since. Every year, we get the game a few months early. We try it out, test out for bugs, and I do create the computer managers that are released for every season, 1982 and later. Raven Maniac does the computer managers for seasons before that. But we customize for each and every team, so it's a lot of fun. It takes it's a lot of time, but it's a lot of fun doing, and it's very rewarding seeing the final output that they release with the game.
So when you're looking at a stock team, let's just say the 2020 Los Angeles Rams, like how do you determine what type of offense they run, what formations they're in primarily, when to sub guys in? Are you only looking at stats, or are you going off of what you personally know from watching the games?
It's a little bit of a mix of both, and also I watch a lot of games, but also I do a lot of reading. I don't call it research because it's just for fun. It's not a profession here or anything, but yeah. So I look mostly at stats though as a primary beginning. What I do for every single team is I have a universal computer manager. It's just called a CM. A universal CM that I import for every single team. It lists all of these different situations, such as what you're seeing on the screen now. Pro set, huge lead, blocking back set, hurry up at opponents 14 to 19 yards. It has all of that embedded in there, this universal one. And then what I do is I decide what formations each of these teams should use so the LA Rams, what formation they should use in each of these situations. Now, as you scroll down that list, there's tons. I mean, there's dozens of those situations. 1st and 10, inside the 20, 2nd and 1 to 2. All these situations. So how do I decide? Is I look at stats. I look at the Rams and I say, well, wow, they use a lot of the wide receivers. I mean, they don't have. Well, actually, they do have two pretty good tight ends, meaning prolific tight ends. But they also have a lot of good wide receivers, 3 and 4 wide receiver formations. So what I did was I decided with them that I want to use the 3 wide receiver formation quite a bit. But if I remember correctly, one or both of their tight ends are also rated at blocking back. So that I'm going by memory here. A lot of
Yeah,
that.
no, yeah. So I'm looking at it right. I'm looking at the actual one right now. So you
Perfect,
have
yeah.
Gerald Everett. That's
There
a
we go.
tight end blocking back.
So that allows me to use the 2 running back, 3 wide receiver formation for the Rams with Everett at fullback, blocking back. So Strat-O-Matic allows you to do that. And I prefer to use that formation instead of 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, because of the one white die roll rule. So in other words, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers is a pretty good formation. You don't suffer the disadvantage of that rule. So I looked at that and I said, well, gee, we can get 3 wide receivers on the field most of the time, and then Gerald Everett at blocking back. I believe that their other tight end, Higbee, who is also prolific, had a lot of catches, did not get rated at blocking back. And that being the case, so
Correct.
Yeah, that's correct. So, and that being the case, sometimes I would use three wide receivers, 1 tight end with Higbee. So that would suffer the 1 white die roll rule. But some of the time I would use a more regular formation like blocking back formation or really a 2 tight end formation, 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, and the running back. So that's what I did with the Rams. So I mix it up. I believe on 1st and 10, if you go ahead and click on offensive plays and then scroll to the very, very bottom, the very last or second to last one. Yeah, open that up a little bit. That one, 1st and yeah. So you see they're going to use 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs a lot. 45% of the time, 30% of the time they'll use 3 wide receivers, 1 halfback, and so on. They just have a mix of different formations. And when it's that situation, which is kind of a basic situation, 1st down or 2nd and 5 to 8, without any special circumstances, the computer's gonna roll their own dice and decide which of those formations to use. So then once it decides on the formation, then go ahead and click one of the plus signs. Yeah, you'll see, okay, now what formation did the defense choose? And then now the computer is going to choose, go ahead and click the plus. And now the computer is going to roll dice and see which play it calls. So you can see.
Do these numbers have to always add up to 100, or is that just if you get it wrong a little bit, it's not going to damage the CM?
Well, actually, that's a great question because I didn't know that when I first started doing these in 2002 or 2003. But I've learned that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it adds up to. It's just a percentage. But what I always do, just for my own benefit, is I always add them up to 100. So that way it's easy. I can see 11% of the time it's going to run inside, run to the halfback, and so forth. And computer choose side, that's letting the computer choose. I don't even know how Strat-O-Matic decides whether it's an off tackle left or off tackle right. I don't know. Flat pass right, flat pass. I don't even know how the computer decides it, even after all these years. They keep their code kind of proprietary. And
Got it.
But yeah, this is available to anyone. Anyone can do what I've done here because it's just this interface. And it's I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's not as difficult as it looks. It's just a very time consuming. The difficult part is how complicated football is, right? I mean, we see in the NFL, should they have kicked a field goal or should, Aaron Rodgers try to, score the touchdown in the playoffs?
Correct.
Should they, call a timeout or should they go out of bounds? Should they not go out of bounds? There's a lot of tricky situations. I learned that as I was doing these computer managers, but also you just watch the NFL. If you watch enough of it, you see a lot of this, and coaches get it wrong a lot. Even the great coaches. I'm looking and saying, why on earth are they not going for it on 4th down, or why are they, so forth. I'm sure you see, kind of the same thing.
Yeah. And I'm going from memory here. I've seen you post on the forum. There are certain things that are outside the control of the CM. Like you cannot program what to do in overtime, or is that correct? Like the CM doesn't have any idea what overtime is.
Yes, there are certain things that are hard-coded into the computer manager that they are computer manager functions, but they're nothing that I have access to. Nobody has access to except Strat-O-Matic themselves. And you're right, overtime, the way overtime is handled in the computer manager is it treats it like the 4th quarter.
Got it.
So, fourth quarter with, let's say, 3 minutes remaining in the game, and you have the ball at the opponent's 7-yard line. If it's overtime, maybe you just say, oh, let's just kick the 2 through 11 field goal. I mean, let's not risk a turnover or anything. But the computer manager won't know that. It'll think there's 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And so it's going to try to keep going for a touchdown, and then on fourth down, it'll probably kick the field goal.
Right. And this is stuff that really doesn't, I'm primarily an online head-to-head player. So you're facing another human, but these are the things I see people complain about that are expecting the computer to act like another human and do things, exactly like they should, when sometimes it's limited to what's available, to program in the CM.
Yeah, it's hard coded in. So penalty logic, for example, should I accept the penalty or should I not? Well, that's completely hard coded. I don't even see it. I don't, I can only go by what people are saying or, what I experienced. And if it gets it wrong, if the computer manager says, the hard coded says, we should accept this penalty in this situation. If that's just a wrong, bad decision, then Strat-O-Matic does have the capability of changing that in the hard coding for a future version. And I think they've done that over the years of people that have identified some things. But yeah, some of these things are just out of our control, out of my control, I should say, not Strat-O-Matic's. But
right,
yeah.
but we see that in the NFL too, where Mike McCarthy will poorly manage the end of a half or end of a game. So, if you're playing against the computer, you could always override what it does if you're controlling both sides. So, if it happens and the computer's totally in control, you can just chalk it up to that. That could also happen in the NFL,
Yeah,
because the coaches aren't perfect either.
Yeah.
So,
True.
okay, so that pretty much covers like kind of a basic overview on how the CMs work. So what I thought I'd do, because I think a big appeal for a lot of people is having control over their draft leagues, whether it's a solo project draft league or an online, draft league with other coaches. So I've sent you a league that hasn't been touched. Now this league uses your default Somifa's computer manager. So this is the Frozen Tundra League. And I had a couple scenarios to walk you through. Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to put your screen up.
Okay.
So now your screen is up on the stream, and I have some questions. So
sure.
Let's start with my team, the Seattle team, and let's just do a global change. Let's just say that I don't have a good blocking back or a good fullback. I want my team to use the 1 halfback 2 tight end set all the time on first and second down. So how could we modify the CM to do that?
Okay, yeah, and that's really good because you don't even think of the computer manager when you're controlling your team. It's like, I don't want the computer to manage my team. But I also play in draft leagues. I find that it's much easier to play when the computer has already set the formation that I want. So
absolutely. I asked you to do this for me like last year in SSFA or in this year in Somifa. Gosh, it just saves so much time not having to manually substitute players in or change the formation. It's really something I recommend. Watch what Ed does, guys, because this is going to be important for you in your draft league.
Yeah, it saves me a lot of time during the game, a lot of worry, and also misclicking. Right, the things are so small on the screen. It's like, oh no, I'm clicking. I have to move them out. It's just easier once it's already done. You only have to do it once. So
yeah, and you also get, I think, a better like one of the things we're going to run through later is splitting up the halfback carries. So you get a better like a split of the carries that you wouldn't normally get. You might overlook it. Oh, I don't want to take the time to sub somebody in there. But if the computer manager is doing it for you, it's just golden.
Yeah, and you can always override it too. The computer manager suggests something, and you just make another substitution or do whatever you want to do. So yeah, it's just a helpful convenience. So okay, so if you're in the league manager, you highlight the team, and we're going to do it from here. You can do it from within the game as well. If you're in a game, you can click on the view and computer manager, I think it is, and then you'll be in the same place that we're about to go here. So you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, so click on team. So once the team is highlighted, click on team, click on computer manager. That gets you to your depth charts. And then click on, we're going to do the offensive plays because you mentioned you want to use the 2 wide receiver, 2 tight end, 1 running back formation as your base. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So one thing I need to mention is that when the computer decides what it's going to do, in this case, it's going to suggest a formation, it goes from top to bottom. So in other words, it's going to look at the first thing. So let's open up this kicker field goal thing, this condition list. So it's going to say, okay, is it the second quarter, time remaining 5 seconds, so forth. It's going to look at all this. If it sees nothing there because it's the first quarter or whatever, then it's going to skip this entirely. So we're going to close that and go to the next one. Then it would go here and look to see here. And then if it doesn't see anything there, it's going to go. So it goes top to bottom. That's very important to know because if you make a change up here near the top, and let's say quarter first, to do whatever, and then you go down further, down below, and make a change to there, quarter first and whatever, it's going to ignore what you did down below completely. So you want to kind of work, what I work is from bottom to top rather than top to bottom, because bottom to top is where I want to, set my conditions. And then on the top, once it hits a condition, it's just going to stop there. So if that makes sense, does that make sense?
Yeah, it's basically like a flow chart. If you can't really get to where you want to go if you've already gone somewhere. So if you've already exited this list of commands, you will never get to certain ones.
That's correct. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a few different things, right? We're not just going to do one thing. So right now we're just doing one thing, which is change your default formation on regular situations. So what I'm going to do is choose a lower node here. I'm going to call this a node. I'm choosing a lower node to work on for what we're doing here, because the other stuff we're going to do a little higher, because those are more specific, like third down and short, and punt situations or something. The very specialized situations you put up higher. The general situation you put down below. So that's something. But what I'm not going to do, I'm not going to modify all these nodes. I mean, that's just way too much, to do for anybody. So I'm just going to pick one here. I picked this one. And what I'm going to do is delete everything that we've got there just so that we start fresh. Look at all these conditions. I don't want to have to worry about that, bother with that. So I'm clicking on one of them to highlight it. I'm going to delete it. So I click the delete button. It's gone. It's gone, it's gone, it's gone, it's gone, it's gone, it's gone, it's gone. So now the condition list is blank, which is what we need, because otherwise we're only talking about specific conditions. So now what you've asked for is you want a certain formation to be your default formation in most situations. So let's go ahead and choose. So with the condition list highlighted, we're going to click condition. And that lets us choose under the conditions we want this to occur. Well, we just want this to occur first, second, third, and fourth quarter. We don't care what it is, down it is, or anything like that. Now, that means it happens every single time it's going to happen. However, if it's third and short, then one of these conditions we're going to be setting up above is going to kick in.
Makes sense.
So third and short, this won't occur. What we're doing here won't occur. But it's the default. So if nothing above it grabs it, the flow chart, then here is where it's going to land. Okay. And stop me if I'm not saying something clearly, or if you have any questions, anything, there's some technicalities here. So
no, it makes sense. Okay,
so this default situation, what do we want? Well, we don't want 3 wide receiver formation. We want this other formation. Like, I'm going too fast. So click to highlight the formation that's already there. Click modify, and then choose from the drop-down list the formation you want to be your default. So in this case, you said this one. The rank is the percentage, but that doesn't matter. You don't want the shotgun, I presume, right?
Correct.
Because you don't have a pistol quarterback, or you just don't want it. So, so now we've got this formation. So on first, second, third, fourth quarter, it's always going to choose this as long as it hasn't found a condition up above it, which we'll be changing those. But what play is it going to call? So now you've got all these complications and everything. Sometimes it can call play. Well, personally, when I'm playing a draft game, I don't want it suggesting sometimes, a flat pass left, a line buck, this, or that, or the other. I like it to always throw a short pass. That's just what I like. Short passes are valid in every single situation, goal line or, any down, any situation. So what I do is I just delete anything except the all defensive formations because I don't care about this. I just want to trim it down. So I'm deleting this 3-3-5, doesn't matter. It won't let you delete this, which is good because we don't want to. So under all defensive formations, I'm going to, again, the plus sign to expand. I'm just going to delete everything except short pass. So short pass to computer choose. Okay.
Got it.
So that's what we got. Now this here, so just to recap here, it just says quarter, first, second, third, fourth is the condition. So all the time. Formation, 100% all the time. Always going to throw a short pass. Doesn't matter what computer choose. Doesn't matter. The only thing now we have here, it says 3 wide receivers, 1 halfback. That doesn't matter, but we're going to change it anyway. It's just a text field. So I'm going to change this to, default. So.
Yeah, that way you know where to find it too later on.
Exactly. Perfect.
Add some more plays in.
So that's it.
Great.
So we've done that. Now what we haven't done is we're not sufficient yet, but because I know we're going to do some more stuff, we haven't cleared out all this junk. There's a lot of junk up here.
Right.
But we're going to do that. So I'm not going to delete it now.
Right.
But
well,
if every single play, first, second, third, fourth down, any situation, if that's what you want to come up, then we would just delete all of these other entries. Just simply delete them. But we don't want that, right? Because if it's a fourth down, we want to punt or field goal. I mean, we don't want to be setting up for. That's at least what I like. Is I like it to set my punt automatically, and then I can override it if I want to go for it.
Right. Perfect. Okay. So is there a minimum number of nodes you need for a CM?
Wow, you have some great questions. I don't know. I mean, you're thinking of these questions that I didn't discover until pretty late in my process. They came up. The answer is actually yes, there is a minimum. One time I tried to create a generic CM that was kind of similar to what we're seeing here, and I deleted all these stuff below it. I said, oh, this is just junk. I don't want all this junk. And then the computer manager wouldn't work. Nothing would happen. It would get deleted, or I don't even remember what happened. I asked Strat-O-Matic, I said, what's going on here? And they said, oh, you need a minimum number of nodes. So, okay. So when I create a generic CM, I just kind of, create this as the default. I just leave all this junk down below it, and then the computer manager works. So yeah. So there does need to be a minimum. I don't know what the minimum is, but it's sufficient, with whatever's below here.
Makes sense. Okay. So the next thing I wanted to do with this CM is to rotate the halfbacks on this team. So we'll come back to the blocking punt thing later on when we talk about general stuff. But on this team, I have Jeff Wilson, who's got about 100 carries, Alexander Madison's, who's about the same, Mike Davis, and Mark Ingram. So what I would like is in the first half to have Jeff Wilson be the primary halfback on first and second downs. I would like Alexander Madison to be the primary halfback on first and second downs in the second half, and then Mark Ingram to be my short yardage guy on second or third and fourth down and 3 yards or less. On third and fourth downs, 3 yards or less. And then Mike Davis is, my receiving back, but I do want him to come in when it's second down and 3 yards or less, and also when it's anytime it's 11 yards or more. So we have all these 4 big situations, but let's go at it one by one. And of course, people know I can set Mike Davis as my starting halfback in the 3 wide receiver, one running back formation, but that's not what we're talking about. We're we're going back to our base formation, and I wanted to sub in to the 1 halfback, 2 wide receiver, 2 tight end formation. I want Jeff Wilson to be the guy in the first half.
Yes, all of that can be done pretty. I'm going to say easily, but once you learn how to do it through the computer manager, and that's what we're going to do here. So yeah, that's all good. But we do have to do it one by one. It may seem like you can just say, okay, well, 50% of the time I want Jeff Wilson in. 50. No, that's not what we want. We want first and second quarter, Jeff Wilson in the game. So we're going to have
Got
to use a different node for each one of those commands. So
and they
this
have to
node,
be above the default mode, so they get
Exactly.
run into before the default node.
exactly, it has to be above it. So we're going to do that here. So now I'm going to work on this node. I'm going to kind of just close this for now, so we don't see that. So again, this one has a bunch of conditions. I don't want those conditions. Just delete all of them. Highlight each and delete. And then so the condition that we want is we're going to set down first and second, quarter, first and second. We don't care about field position. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So down first and second, quarter, first and second. We're going to have to set the formation that we want again. So that was this one running back, two tight end formation. And so we're going to delete all of these. This is just my thing. You don't really actually have to do this part of it, deleting all these plays. I like to do that. But now, how do we get Jeff Wilson in the game? It's a little bit tricky. Once you learn it, it's easy. But you have to highlight where it says formation. Don't highlight here and think you're going to sub in Jeff Wilson. You have to highlight where it says formation. And the thing you want to do is click action, because we want something to occur. So action, and you choose the drop-down list running back, and it lets you choose Jeff Wilson. Is that what we wanted? I don't remember now.
Yeah, that Jeff Wilson first and second down,
Yeah.
and first and second down Jeff Wilson in that formation. Perfect.
In the
first half, yeah.
Yeah. Now, if I try to do all defensive, if I'm highlighted this and I click action, you see it's a whole different thing. It's different. It's not the substitutions that you want. So
right. So you have to click on
highlight that one, and then it lets you make the substitutions.
Got it.
And and then we're going to change this, because it's just a text field, to first half, something like that. That's good. So that's it.
Perfect.
Yep.
Wow. That's a lot simpler than I thought. So now we need the one above it to be the second half one for Alexander Madison, where we basically do the same thing.
Yeah. So I'm going to do basically the same thing. So conditions, get rid of all this junk. Oh, wow. That's a lot of junk. It does not let you, highlight a bunch of them and then do it all at once.
Right.
So that's just one of those things. So, okay. So the condition that we want is first and second down in the second half. And the formation that we want is still that same one, the two tight end, one running back. And then now we've got a bunch of junk here. We don't care about all of this. Actually, you don't even have to do what I'm doing here, but it takes very little time, and I just like to clear out the junk. That way, if I need to change something later, there's less junk around there.
Got it.
The short pass one, that's just what I like. By the way, if you keep, let's say, the long pass one in there, but now you're inside the 20 and the computer is going to try to call a long pass, I actually don't know what happens. So,
I'll tell you what happens. This is the weird thing where it always goes to like a fullback flat pass or a fullback run. Like that's like the weird, if you don't have something in the CM and it doesn't know what to do, I noticed that like sometimes when I would go for it in my own end, the CM couldn't account for that, and they would default to like a fullback flat pass.
Yeah, so maybe it's trying to tell you that going for it from your own end is a little I don't know, off kilter.
Yeah. But that's just me. That's just the way I coach.
You're starting to do that now. You've been ahead of the curve on that.
Yeah, exactly.
So then we're going to choose. So we've chosen the formation. We've gotten rid of all the extra conditions. It's second half, and we're going to choose the running back. And I'm sorry, which running? What was it? Mike Davis?
No, Alexander Madison now is the second half back.
Okay, there we go. So that's it. Oh, and then we're gonna change this to second half.
Perfect.
So, okay. And then just because for fun, I'm going to highlight the second half. I'm going to click the down arrow, and that's going to move it below the first half.
I was just going to ask you that if you can reorder those. Like if we ran out of nodes above this, we could move one of those other ones below it up and and modify that. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So the next thing is Mark Ingram is very good on the ratings disc. with 2 yards to go, but I want him to be that guy that's in there with 3 yards or less on second, third, and fourth downs. Although it will default to punt before, I guess it's not gonna make you default to you going for it, is it?
Well,
like, if it's 4th and 1, is it gonna?
Yeah, so if we add, right now there is no punt formation chosen above this node, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. The computer managers are set up. It's not there. So if we add it, then you're right. It'll never see this because it'll be 4th down. But if we don't add it, then this is
So let's just do 2nd and 3rd down 3 yards or less all game.
Okay, I'm going to go back from where I was. So I removed all the extra conditions. Then I'm going to click highlight condition list, click condition, click down 2nd and 3rd. To go for 1st down, I'm going to click to activate that, and then 1 to 3 yards. And we don't care about field position. So there we go. So there's the condition. And then the formation, you still want that 2 tight end formation, right?
Correct.
Okay. So there we go. Chosen that formation. A lot of junk. Just get rid of this. A lot of junk. Just get rid of that. Okay, and then go back to highlight the formation. Click action.
Actually, let's do something different here. Instead of this formation, let's just to show people what's something different. Let's do the blocking back halfback formation.
Sure.
Instead of this one, just to vary it a little bit.
Halfback. And then we still have short pass and all that. So we're going to highlight the formation, click action. And now you see this list is different. It doesn't have running back. It has halfback.
Got it.
So the list is context sensitive. So you want to mark Ingram in that. And
right.
There we go. And now just this text field, I'm going to say 3rd and short. And that's it.
Perfect.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter whether it's actually it has to be above these, right? So if it's 2nd and 3rd and short, it'll go from top to bottom. The computer manager will look and say, oh, here's this condition, 2nd and 3rd. So it'll use this. It'll ignore whatever's below it. Now, if we were to do this, which I just put the 1st half thing that we just created above the 2nd and 3rd and short, if it's the 1st half, it's going to find a true condition right here. And it's going to do this.
So it'll never get to the 2nd and 3rd and short.
Exactly. It'll ignore everything below it. So the order matters here. So we're going to put that below it because we want this to be the one that really counts if it's 2nd and 3rd and short.
Perfect. Okay. So one more. Let's do Mike Davis in there whenever it's 2nd and 1.
2nd and 1.
Just because, that's the down that people think, oh, he'll run it with this lousy back, but then you can go over the top and throw a bomb, or you could run it, or he's the guy that is better at short passes. Maybe he has a better pass blocking rating, so maybe when you do decide to dial it up, you'll have better pass protection.
Sure, yeah, and this is an illustration that this is extremely flexible. This program that Strat-O-Matic has, this interface that Strat-O-Matic has provided us, and it lets you do all of that stuff, any of that stuff, even if you want a different right tackle, in certain situations or whatever, So what I'm doing is I went to the condition, 2nd down, just 1 yard to go. So that's the condition. Then what formation do we want from that?
Let's stick with the 1 halfback 2 tight end set.
Okay, so I'm going to the formation. I'm going to modify. I'm going to scroll down to where that is, deleting all the junk, and deleting more junk. Oh, and by the way, one thing I did learn is also through trial and error. I think they made a change a few years ago. Anyway, if this number here, instead of being a 4, if it's a 1, then Strat-O-Matic will sometimes, the program will sometimes ignore it as if it doesn't exist. So I found out kind of the hard way that having 1s in there just doesn't really work. So I be wrong about that. That might be about the formations. I don't remember that. But anyway, for these purposes, for draft leagues, just keep it, the way it is or whatever. You don't have to change these numbers. It's not important.
Makes sense. Yeah. Right, because it's the only option in there. So it's 4 out of 4 or whatever it is.
Yeah, 4 out of 4 instead of 4 out of 100 or whatever. So we're going to change this text field to just 2nd and 1. So
perfect.
And we want this ahead of the 2nd and 3rd and short, so that the Mike Davis. Oh, we haven't told it to do Mike Davis yet. So okay. Good. So formation. So I'm going to click action, running back, Mike Davis, and there we go. So now it's got Mike Davis. You know what? Let's put a different left tackle in the game, because I don't like the starting left tackle in that situation. Let's put let's put Josh Andrews in. So there we go. Josh Andrews will show up. Now you can override that. And you're playing the game. It makes the substitutions for you, and you're choosing your formation. You say, wait a minute, I don't want Mike Davis in this situation. Or I don't want Josh Andrews. You can always just double click the player and just put in whoever you want. So that'll just work. One thing I want to point out while I'm remembering this is that there's a setting within the game itself that would ignore what we're doing here. Because there's a setting, I believe it says ignore CM decisions for human-controlled teams or something. How about if I pull up that setting so we make sure that...
Sure. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's the under game options, do not allow substitutions for human-controlled.
Something like that, yeah. So let's just launch this, just get in here. Okay, so it's game options. There's a setting here. It says do not allow CM subs for human players.
Right.
That has to be unchecked. You do not want to check mark there. Otherwise, it's going to ignore every single thing that we're doing here.
Perfect. Okay. So great point.
Mark, okay, and then you can.
Okay. So here's another one. I didn't tell you about this one before, but since we have those options there, how about a score-based option? So when I have a 17-point lead or more, then Mike Davis is the guy. Oh no, Justin. Let's use Justin Jackson since I haven't used him yet. So let's do a condition based on the score.
Okay, so I'm taking this node because we've already used these ones below it, and conditions, getting rid of these. I don't even want to look at them. Whatever, no worries. So then click on highlight condition. Click on condition. So you said a score difference of plus 17 or more, right?
Right.
99. And doesn't matter field position, time remaining. Did we say a specific quarter of the game or just any?
No. So it's the whole game. If we don't select anything, it'll just automatically be the whole game?
Yes. Yeah, if you don't select down, it'll be all 4 downs. If you don't select quarter, it'll be all 4 quarters.
Okay, so we only want first, second, and third downs. We don't want fourth down to trigger this formation.
Yeah. So you see, I highlighted fourth, but you just click it again and unhighlight it.
Got it.
Okay, so first, second, third down, and you're ahead by 17 or more points. Okay.
And we'll use the blocking back halfback again with Justin Jackson as the halfback.
Justin Jackson. Okay. So not too much junk here. And then highlight formation. Oh, we don't want the shotgun. See, I almost fell for that trick because it had the shotgun on the previous, but we were deleting. But so I'm gonna get rid of that shotgun. So another thing to just kind of watch out for. So formation blocking back. We want substitution halfback Justin Jackson. Okay. There. And that's it. And then we're going to, I'm just going to call this big lead. Now, question for you, do we want that to supersede these other things, second and short and so forth?
Yes. Okay. We want that to be like big. When I got a big lead, I'm going to take it easy and bring in my 5th string halfback or whatever.
Okay, that's good because then we'll keep that above these other ones, so that one takes precedence. If it's above, then it takes precedence. Okay,
this is really good. Now, I don't have this situation on my team, but I noticed on another team, if we close out of this and open up the Houston Texans, they have in the full house formation, they have a big yardage guy that is Mike Williams. That's their starter. He's a 16-22 guy, but he has a ton of yardage.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's inside the 10-yard line, he would be better off bringing in Zach Pascal, who's a 19-26 guy.
Yeah.
So how would you do that? Only inside the 10-yard line.
Now, this is really good because this is not based upon score, down, distance, some of the other things. This is more of a global thing. And you said anytime it's from the defense's 1 to 9 yard line, we want a different split end. And that's so easy to do. Yeah, it's going to be totally different from what we've been doing. So we go into the same place, the offensive plays, pull up the depth chart, then click on offensive plays. We're going to go to special substitutions. So click the plus sign to get more stuff here, or special situations, I should say. And then special substitutions, you see this entry here. So we're going to click the plus sign to expand that. Now these special substitutions were for probably the Houston Texans, the stock team. Yeah, see it was the stock because it uses the stock team's computer manager, and now those players are not on the team. So whoever was their fullback or whatever. So I'm going to delete all this crap just because it's just too much stuff. So fortunately it's quick and easy to delete stuff. Yeah. And notice the delete is grayed out. Now it won't let me accidentally break the program or something by deleting things I shouldn't delete. It just changes the computer manager. So so the condition that we want, see now it's blank, there's no plus sign here, is we're going to click on condition. You said that we want the field position to be the 91 to the 99. That's how they work it.
Got it.
Actually, I think it says here, yard 1 is backed up against your own end zone. Yard 81 is the red zone on the defensive end. Yeah, so it even explains it here. So 91 to 99, we don't care the score or first down, quarter, or any time remaining. So any of that stuff. So that's our condition. Now the way to add that command here is you actually highlight the condition and you click action. So clicking action, and here's the substitution I want. So I want my split end to be Zach Pascal, I think you said, right?
Yes, correct.
So Zach Pascal. And that's it, we're done. So now it's going to, and again, it goes from top to bottom. It's going to use Zach Pascal anytime within the 91 to 99 yard line at split end.
So if you have Mike Williams in the computer manager default full house formation as the split end, this when you click that formation, it will override that. Is that right? Because of the special substitution, or is that just the default? If it happens to come up as the full house as the default formation, then Pascal gets in there.
Okay, well, there's a couple of nuances. You asked a really good question about clicking. So kind of let me go over. So what's going to happen is, let's say we get within the defense's 1 to 9 yard line. The computer is going to choose whatever formation is in the computer manager. We haven't set that for this team, right? So whatever, you don't even have to look at that or whatever. But it might not choose the full house formation. It might choose something else. It might choose, pro set or blocking back set or whatever it's going to set. When it chooses whatever formation it chooses, it's going to put Zach Pascal at split end. However, when you click on full house, because you don't want whatever formation it was, you actually manually click to choose the full house formation. Now it's going to put Mike Williams back in the game because it's going to go through this.
Right, but then we could fix that or prevent that from happening by adding a note in here that under the normal ones that we've been doing, that when it's 91 to 99 to always use full house.
Yes, and that's what I do for my draft league is I have it choose full house formation or whatever. So yeah, but if we don't do that, then you're right. It might choose a 3 wide receiver formation or something automated with Zach Pascal at split end. But then, the person playing the game might say, I don't want 3 wide receiver. I click on full house, but then it's going to put Mike Williams back in the game because Mike Williams is right here in the depth chart.
Good.
So So, yeah,
Okay.
you're right. We would have to add a node telling it specifically to use full house inside the.
Perfect. Okay, so let's switch back to Seattle. We talked all about offense. I want to just run through a couple of defensive substitutions because I think you can do the same thing with defensive plays, I hope.
Yeah.
So I have two defensive ends that play in the same spot. Yannick Ngakwe, who's a 0-12-1, is listed in the CM as the default left end in all formations. But if it's third or fourth down and 1 yard to go, I want to substitute in Lawrence Guy just for that extra run stuffer. So how do we do that?
Okay, so now we're going to go to defensive plays. We've been working on offensive plays. So defensive plays, it's the same interface, with the nodes and all that stuff. So here's one way to do it, and kind of a global way is once again through the special situations.
Why don't you take them out? I gotta use the bathroom.
And you'll notice that special substitutions for defensive plays, there's very rarely anything there, because when I'm customizing the computer managers, I do not customize the defensive computer managers. They're kind of more generic, so they don't have special substitutions with very rare exception. So anyway, so to do what we want is we highlight special substitutions, click condition, and you said we wanted it when it was. Do I remember correctly that it was only third down and 1 to 2 to go, or was second down also?
Third and fourth.
Third and fourth. Okay, so third and fourth with 1 to 2 yards to go. Field position doesn't matter, quarter, any of that. So there's the condition, and then we highlight the condition. We click action, and we tell it what we want. So this is at left end. We want Lawrence Guy, and we just tell it that. Substitution, and we can see what it does. So whenever it's third or fourth down, 1 to 2 yards to go, it's going to put Lawrence Guy at left end by default. Now, if you choose a formation, a different formation, it's going to revert back to whatever is in the formation. So let's say for some reason the computer chose a 3-3-5 formation or something. I don't know why, but excuse me. But that if it did that, and you say, well, I'm going to click and I'm going to choose 3-4 formation. Well, then it'll undo what it did here with the Lawrence Guy command, because Ngakwe is there. So if you wanted it, always use a 3-4 on third or fourth and 1 to 2 when it's not in a punt situation or something. You can create a node that would tell it, just like we did. Remember back in the offensive plays, we told it always use the 2 tight end formation, blah blah blah. We can do that for the defensive plays just as easily.
Got it. Okay, that's really good. Now, one of the unique situations now that we have split ratings is the inside the 10-yard line when you're on defense, is that middle linebacker. If like I have two middle linebackers, I play a 3-4. One is Jordan Hicks, who's a 5-4-0, and the other one is Vince Williams, who's a 4-4-6. So once the offense is inside the 10, that pass rating for the middle linebacker really doesn't come into play so much. So I was wanting, maybe we should do a special substitution so that the middle linebacker, like if I'm in a 3-3-5, would always be Vince Williams, since he has a better pass rush than Jordan Hicks.
Yeah, that's very easy to do. So once again, and like you said, special substitution. So now we're going to talk about a different situation, not third and fourth. So we're going to go back and highlight special substitutions again. Click on condition to make a new condition. And this is field position 91 to 99. So anytime we're in that situation, we're going to click action, and we're going to have a different middle linebacker. So we have to scroll down alphabetical order. So middle linebacker, and we're going to have it choose Vince Williams.
Right. And do you agree that makes sense? Because the only thing I could think of, you could use the middle linebacker to like double team the second tight end, but even then, it doesn't matter if he's a 4 or 5 on pass defense.
Yeah, no. The definitely Williams is better inside the 10-yard line. The defense's 10-yard line. Williams is better than Hicks, just period, point blank, because the first rating, the pass rating doesn't matter. There's no coverage there for the middle linebacker. So that's correct. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So I think that just about covers it. I was going to have you do something for Oklahoma, but it was kind of the same thing. Oh no, this is a little different. So go over to Oklahoma because this is a little bit different. I think. Oh no, maybe it's not. No, it's the same thing. It's because it's inside the 10. Because he has a 4-0 starting usually, and he also has a 0-5. But it's the same situation. You do the same thing. You have a special, not for the pass rush per se, but for the run defense. So he's replacing a 0 for a 5.
Yeah, exactly. We just go to the special substitutions, condition, field position 91 to 99, and highlight the condition, click action, substitution. I'm going through this much more quickly now because it's just a repeat of what we did. So you probably don't want Kenneth Murray because of that run defense is better than.
There's no reason to have Pratt in there, right? Yeah. So, okay.
If you also want to do the punt in the first punt block in the first half and second half, it's super. Yeah,
no, this is something that Somifa decided there was too many punts going on in draft leagues because we're a league that doesn't use penalties, and so there was no reason not to try for a punt block. So we would always try for a punt block, and we had too many blocks. In leagues that have penalties, of course, that's a different story. You would consider, okay, I don't want to give them a first down by going for a block when I shouldn't. So to rectify that, we had this. Ed came up with this idea to make the CM not select block for teams in the first half only. So walk us through how you did that, Ed.
Yeah, we don't allow attempting to try for a block in the first half. So, that's a lot of trouble, right? I have to remember now. I have to turn off the block. All that. That would be way too much trouble. But fortunately, the computer manager can just tell it, don't even try for a block, and all that. And the good news is these computer managers at the very top of the node. Now I say the very top. This one here doesn't have anything. It's just a text field. And this, of course, is the special substitution. So that's not the same as these nodes. It's very different. So at the very top, it already has versus punt, try for block, versus punt, no block. So we already have the framework. We just have to modify it. We don't have to create it from scratch like we've been doing on the offensive plays. So to do that, I'm going to do this one, try for block, condition list. So what we do is we only want to use this if the offense is in a punt formation, right? I mean, if the offense is in a blocking back set formation, we don't want to be trying for a block punt or anything like that.
Right,
just a little part. So what I'm going to do is just modify this. I'm not going to delete these. So to try for block, we want it to be only the second half. So that's quarter 3 and 4. We don't care about how long it is to go for first down. Offensive formation is punt. So now quarter 3rd and 4th, offensive formation punt, and that's it. We want to try for a block in those situations because that's when it's allowed. So I'm going to delete these other two because we don't want those confusing the issue. It's pretty important to delete those other two in this case. The conditions, you do need to pare it down to exactly what you want. Remember, I was deleting some things and saying it's just junk. Well, this isn't junk. This is harmful stuff that if you leave there, it's going to confuse what's going to happen. So anyway, so with conditions, we just want to have the only condition that we want. Now, what is it going to do? Well, formation punt return is just the formation that we want it to use. We want it to always try for a block in the second half. So I don't want it to just try for a return. I'm going to delete this. So now it always tries, even though it says 98, that's basically 100 because there's no other option.
Right, it's 98 out of 98 times.
Exactly, 98 out of 98. So now we've got it. So now we're trying for block in the second half. So now we have to set the first half where we don't try for a block. So again, I'm going to expand these conditions. So offensive form punt, and then we're going to go quarter, first, and second, just to be clear, to be 100% certain. If it's the first or second quarter and they're in a punt formation, this is what we're going to do. We're going to use a punt return formation, and we're not going to try for a block. I have to delete this, make sure. And that's it. So
and then that one has to be above the other one, right?
It actually does not because they're mutually exclusive, right? Because first quarter, second quarter. But I'm going to put it above just because the numbers 1 and 2 go before the numbers 3 and 4. So
Got it.
You
Just
don't
the
have to,
aesthetics.
but it does make sense. So first and second down. So just to confirm, first and second quarter, they're in a punt formation. We're just going to do a punt return. Third and fourth quarter, or overtime, because remember, fourth quarter is overtime, according to the computer manager. If they're in a punt formation, the offense, then we're going to be in a punt return formation, and we're going to try for the block in the third and fourth quarter.
Great. Excellent. Okay, so now the last thing I wanted to talk about is exporting and importing computer managers. So,
Sure.
like we're done with the Seahawks. When you're done with your CM, you export that as a coach file, and that's how it gets into the league manager's. He'll import that coach file. But let's just say you wanted to. This is the way I used to do it, because when I didn't know how to do it, I would just like figure out which teams usually run a certain formation, and I would import that computer manager. But I can see cases where folks might want to like let's just say I wanted to import from my project, like I want to import the 1980 San Diego Chargers CM into the 2019 Kansas City Chiefs. I want to see what would Patrick Mahomes do running Don Coryell's playbook or something like that.
Yeah.
So like let's do that. Do you have a stock league of or we can just do it here. Let's just pretend like the New York Yanks is the team we want to run Don Coryell's offense. So how would you import the 1980 offensive playbook into that team?
Okay, yeah, it's pretty easy. So you highlight the team, you click Team Computer Manager, like we've been doing, and you're talking about the offensive plays, right? So we're going to do that. So you get the computer manager on the screen. You click the import button, and then you have a drop-down list. And this is a huge list of computer managers. So I'm going to. You said you wanted the 1980 San Diego offensive computer manager for this team. Oh.
Yeah, is that are all the teams in there, or only if you've loaded the teams?
That's a good question. I think it's only if you've loaded the teams. What I do is I just load every single team. Not because I use all the teams. I only use a very small fraction of them, but because my hard disk space is, it's just such a tiny amount of space it takes. And I don't want to have to reinstall or do any of that kind of stuff. So I just say,
in the same way.
Yeah, just check mark everything. And if I don't use it, I don't use it. So I'm going to scroll down to 1980 SD. Now, these are, I believe, Raven Maniac's computer managers. Doesn't make a difference. They're
right.
Computer managers. But I'm just going to say that I don't know too much, as much about them. But the process is the same. But here's something extremely important, very important as a takeaway of this. Do not ever click accept as default unless you really know what that means. Because now if you click accept as default, if you create a new league, this team, whatever New York Yanks is using, is identified as, it might, when you create a new league, it might use that same computer manager.
Got it.
So I'm not going to go into detail about that. I just caution away from accept as default. Just do accept, and then you're much safer. So we're going to accept this. And you can see it's, this is definitely a Raven Maniac computer manager, and because I don't really recognize, I know what these things mean, but it's just a text file, So, but yeah, so that's it, and we're done. We click OK, and then we start playing the league games, and it's got that.
Great, that's fantastic. Well, Ed, this really shows the power of the computer manager and how detailed or how simple you can make it to do what you want to do for your draft team or your stock team, whatever project you're running. So, again, thank you for taking the time to show us, and I really appreciate you you doing that for us. It's gonna make my life a lot easier. Now, one last thing: export that the coach file for Seattle and send it to me so I can use it in my league.
Yeah, no problem. That'll be easy.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me. This has been great. If anybody has any questions or experiences, problems, confusion, anything like that with the computer managers, feel free to post on the Strat Fan forum in the football section and say, hey, there's some question. A lot of times, if you have a question with an issue, experiencing an issue, there are other people that are maybe afraid to post, or they don't think that they want to post or whatever. So, often it's the case. You're not the only one experiencing these issues. And, I'm glad to help. I enjoy talking about computer managers, and, I've been working with them for so long and so much. So it's a lot of fun.
Great. Yeah, it's like teaching someone how to fish. Now, hopefully we'll have a lot more fishermen building their own CMs.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be cool.
All right. Well, I'm going to sign off now, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. And again, thanks, Ed, for joining us. And hopefully we'll come up with another topic we can talk to you about later on.
Sounds good. Yep. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.